I am here with Ryan Taylor. He's very tall. Happy to do this. I think I might need you to sit down, and then we'll be even, Stevens. So he is the CEO of Dash, and Ryan. So again, I'm really curious about the space, and again, like I was saying, I don't even know what I want to know. So if we're talking to a 9-year-old or a grandmother, how would you explain, or can you explain this very metaphorical, very just image, simplifies? What is Dash?
Well, Dash is two things. One is it's a payment network. Think of like Visa or MasterCard. They connect merchants with consumers, and they pass information back and forth, right, in order to facilitate a transaction. And the second thing Dash is a currency. In the case of Visa and MasterCard, you're exchanging US dollars. In the case of the Dash network, you're exchanging a unit called Dash. And Dash is simply digital form of money. It's the equivalent of a digital form of cash, and it acts a lot like cash. When you transact with it and hand, or give Dash to somebody else, that transaction can't be reversed. In the case of credit cards and other forms of money, there's risk for the merchants because there could be fraud and they could have the transaction reversed on them and so forth. But this acts very much like cash. It makes it really useful for certain types of transactions, and so it's essentially a new form of money. It's a new way to transact with other people.
What are some of the transactions that we would use Dash for in our everyday lives?
We made some announcements yesterday of new merchants and payment processors that we got integrated into our network. And so now you can use Dash to buy airline tickets, movie tickets. But I think that things that this form of money does really, really well is it serves merchants that are in industries where there are really high chargeback rates, where there's disputes about the charges and so forth. A lot of these are legitimate purchases, but there's just a lot of fraud in those industries. An example of this is nutraceuticals. A lot of people make these purchases, regret the purchase, and then complain to their credit card company and have the charge reversed. The impact that has is really high chargeback rates for these companies, and they oftentimes have their right to use credit cards revoked, and they're actually blacklisted from credit card networks, and they can't really operate as a business without accepting credit cards. And so there are certain industries like nutraceuticals, online travel, there's gambling websites, these types of things where there's just really high chargeback rates. Dating websites is another example. And so this addresses a real need, and it benefits both consumers and the merchants. The merchant benefits are obvious, right? They can continue accepting payments, but it's equally important for consumers to understand this technology, because if they can't find someone that's willing to transact with them in a credit card, and they want these services or want these products, this is a way that they can continue to buy them and have lots of choices. So I think that where you're going to see this adopted first and really become relevant in our lives is in some of these high chargeback areas. It's also really good at crossing borders. So when you're making an online purchase in another country, or you are trying to send money remittances back home, so if you have family back in India or something like that, and you're trying to transmit money to them, those transactions are extremely expensive. If you try to use Western Union or some service like that, they'll take 10%. And for those countries for those living back home, that's a lot of money. It makes a real difference to them. And so with digital currency, it's permissionless. Anyone can send money anywhere in the world at any time at practically no cost. And so you can get money back home for much less fees, and there's huge benefits to some of the most desperate people in the world, by using it. So I think there's a lot of ways that it's going to become relevant to us very, very quickly. And I just think the issue is, up until now, digital currency has been really difficult to use.
What if there are other projects that are also creating? So you got the Bitcoins, you got Zencash, you got all these kind of currencies. What gives you, so there's, that would be called competition in the space? What gives you an edge? Why would we use yours versus using Bitcoin to transact?
Well, I think the projects that are going to do the best are the ones that try to focus on solving specific real-world use cases. In the case of Zcash or Bitcoin, they all behave differently. They have different attributes. In the case of Bitcoin, they have the largest liquidity in the market. So if you're trying to move a large amount of money, that is going to allow you to, enter and exit at exchanges, in and out of the US dollar or some other foreign currency very easily, because it is very liquid. If you're trying to do an everyday purchase and time is of the essence, Dash works really well, because Dash has instant payments and it's very low fee. So for making online purchases, Dash is a really good option. In the case of Zcash, they have a strong focus on privacy and anonymity, so you can do a highly anonymous transaction if you need it to be private for some reason. We have privacy features too, but they're optimizing for that. In other words, they will make decisions that make their privacy better, even if it comes at the expense of the user experience or the length of time it takes to create or send a transaction. So, each of these projects is doing something slightly different and focusing on solving a specific area, and that's what makes us competitors, but almost not at the same time. I think there's plenty of room for different projects. I think the ones that are going to do the best are the ones that don't try to be all things to all people, but actually carve out the area that they're going to try and do well. And for us, it's online purchases, consumer level transactions.
Got it. And so what's your job? Or is your job to build relationships with businesses that will accept Dash, and so you're growing a network of businesses in online markets, e-commerce, whatever, to accept this currency?
Yeah, so with the announcements that we made yesterday, we're now up to close to 2,000 merchants available on the network, and like I said,
do you have a number, a goal that how many merchants?
Every merchant in the world, yeah. We want to be everywhere, but the question was, are we trying to sign up merchants? And the answer is yes, but not directly. We can't build a sales force that can go out and pound the pavement and reach every mom and pop retailer on the planet. That's a monumental task, but guess what? Merchant acquirers and independent sales organizations and other payment processors already have these relationships with merchants all over the world. And so we're very focused on getting channel partners signed up that will, so rather than try to go direct and have a relationship with every single merchant on the planet, we're trying to sign up partners that will do that for us. They oftentimes already have their foot in the door, already have merchants signed up on their platform, and it's just a matter of adding Dash, and we get access to hundreds or thousands of merchants at one time. And the examples of the integrations we announced yesterday do just that. One of them was Pico. This is an online site, Piiko, and you can go, and you can make payments to 600 mobile network operators across the globe in 137 different countries. All at once, all of our users have access to cell phone services anywhere they live. another example, we signed up GoCoin. They're one of the biggest Bitcoin payment processors. They have major sites like cheapair.com, Remax, you can buy real estate. They've got Lionsgate, which is a major media firm. They do movies and stuff. They've got movietickets.com. So now you can, suddenly buy your movie tickets at, thousands of locations across the United States, and go see the movies and buy your airline tickets, and for multiple airlines. We've just picked up a massive amount of use cases with a single integration. And so we're going to continue with this channel partner approach where they're out signing up the businesses for us. And the Dash Network, we have no interest in taking a fee, right? That's what makes these relationships so great, is the merchant acquirers provide all the services to the merchant, all the, answer all the questions, do the integrations, and they take a fee for that. The network, our fees are as low as we can make them. We just need fees to prevent spam on our network. But it doesn't take much to prevent spam.
What's spam?
It's just transactions that you're blasting out and aren't really purposeful. And so we just want to prevent abuse of the network. But outside of that, they're free to charge whatever fees they want, and we're not in competition or trying to get a share of that. So for the merchant acquirers, this makes a lot of sense. In the credit card transactions that they're getting 20 to 40 basis points, which is like 0.2 to 0.4%.
What is a basis point?
It's 1/100 of a percent, so it's 0.2 to 0.4%. It's not very much. Most of that money is going back to the network, or it's going back to especially the card issuers. Your bank collects most of those fees. And so for the merchant acquirers, they're getting this tiny little piece of the transaction. And with Dash, they can charge their merchants, say, 1%. They get all of it. And so all of a sudden they've gone from 0.2% to 1% on every single transaction. And for the merchant, they've gone from 3% credit card fees down to 1%. Everybody's a winner. And so, it makes a lot of sense for all parties to start to get involved with cryptocurrency and start to accept it. Even if a small percentage of the customers switch over to this, there's huge potential benefits to these payment processors, merchant acquirers, whatever in the space. And so we're trying to sign those up.
What are your thoughts on people hanging on to Dash, like not using it but holding it? Yeah, the investors that buy it for exchange and hold it. So if they're not using it, then how? Does that question make sense?
Yeah, I mean, look, there's nothing wrong with people buying it as an investment if you believe that the use of Dash is going to continue to grow. Certainly our investors saw a great return last year. Our market cap was up over 8,000% last year. That's obviously not a sustainable growth rate forever. Some people are investing and speculating in the space. I do think there will be some big winners here. We're not going to see 1,400 or 1,400 cryptocurrencies right now. 1,400 will not survive, right? In the same way that there's more than one credit card network, though, there's likely to be several significant digital currency networks that survive, and they should be tremendously valuable because of the amount of money that can flow through one of these networks. And so I think that there will be some very big winners, and there will, most of these will cease to exist in several years, but there will be a lot of really big winners in this space. And so
let's say I bought Dash, but obviously we're speculating, okay, well, the value of this is going to go up, so I'm not going to use it, I'm not going to transact with it, so I'm hanging on to this, and I'm actually not using it in the network. How does it grow if no one guys using it? Because everyone's holding, or people are holding.
If people buy and hold, it does take some of the supply off the market.
Right.
These are scarce. There's only so many that will ever be created. In the case of Dash, there will only ever be 18 million Dash or so. And so it is a scarce resource. It cannot be counterfeited. It cannot be printed into infinity like the US dollar can. And so when people buy it and take some off the market, it raises the price of the remaining ones because the same amount of transactions must flow through fewer coins.
Right.
And when you have more dollars flowing through fewer coins, the price per coin goes up.
Right.
It's that simple.
Right.
So it's simple economics.
So if I'm not buying a plane ticket with it, it kind of defeats the entire purpose of it.
Well, I mean, we're really encouraging people to use it, right? I mean, we want people to transact with it. There is benefit to having people buy it and hold it in the sense that it raises the price, but that's not using the network.
Right. So
We're focused on metrics like the number of transactions that we're seeing, the total payment volume. So what's the total value of all those payments? And we measure that in US dollars for now. That's the right way to measure it. Last quarter, we processed $16 billion worth of transactions, 8 billion of which came in December alone, and we're continuing to grow. And so
people are using it.
Yeah, they're using it to
It's not just holding it.
Exactly. So, I think that you're going to continue to see the growth. The growth trajectory is incredible. We're doing over 1 million transactions a quarter, and it's growing at triple-digit rates, strong triple-digit rates year over year. And so, with all the new merchants we just added, I think we're going to, have some sustainable growth here for a little while, just off of that.
Got it. What happens when 18 million Dash is out there, and then so it's only the people that have it that can then trade it around?
Well, yeah, it's a free market. It's freely traded in a bunch of exchanges. You can buy and sell it at brokers like Uphold. So it's a lot like the stock market. Yes, if you don't own any today, the way you acquire it is you go and buy it from somebody else, right?
Got it. What if they don't want to sell it?
Well, then
I guess I'm kind of just trying to figure out how hoarding works. Like, investing, I guess this is just what I know so far. It's like, why would I want to buy a plane ticket with this if its value is going to go up?
Yeah, I get this question a lot. So
why would I use it?
So there's two different use cases, right? One is as an investment, and the other is to use it, right? And in the case of those two use cases, there's no reason you can't do both, right? If you want to invest $1,000 in Dash, you can take $1,000, buy some Dash, and put it somewhere. If you can also save 15% off your Amazon purchases by using Dash, and there is a site where you can do this. It's called bitcart.io. Everybody shops at Amazon, right?
Yeah.
You go there and you can buy an Amazon gift card for 15% less. So you can pay, I don't know, 40, 42 bucks or something and get a $50 gift card and go spend it at Amazon, and you've just saved yourself $8, $9. Well, for a lot of people working fast food or whatever, you just saved a whole hour worth of work by taking that action. And so that doesn't jeopardize your investment in any way, and you're using the network for its intended purpose and getting a benefit for using it. And so there are good reasons to transact in Dash. There's good reasons to remit money home in Dash. If your alternative is using Western Union or using Dash, you can still invest in it, but there's benefit in sending your money to your family using Dash. And then they can cash it in at their end for far less than 10%. So people are doing both, right? People are doing both. I invest in Dash and I use Dash.
So you encourage them to use it by incentivizing, discounts.
Yep.
So you can save airline tickets here and there.
And as far as buying and selling it, the average daily trading volume on the exchanges is over $200 million worth per day at this point. And so it's not hard for a person to go out and acquire this. It's not like you need to find an individual
like it's a hidden
to trade with. You just need to set up an account with a broker like Uphold. It's probably the easiest. If you want to save a little bit on fees, you can trade it yourself by signing up for an account on an exchange that deals in Dash. But the whole idea is that this provides benefits in multiple ways. Yes, as an investment, it's doing very well. And because it is scarce and can't be inflated to infinity, it tends to outperform government-issued currency. And then as a use of payment, there are real benefits to using it. And I would encourage people to do both if you want to do both.
Got it. So you're doing both. So you're encouraging people to use it. Okay. I think it finally clicked because I had this question about, what if people just hung on to this stuff? Stashed it under the bed live off.
I'm an example. I do both. I transact with it, and then I have some saved. So
gotcha, because it won't work unless it is being circulated.
Yep.
So that's sort of like a kind of thank you. I think that just finally clicked. It's taking me a while because I'm like, well, why would people?
I think people really view it as a binary decision, but it's not a binary decision. It's not one or the other. It's do both if you want to do both. If you want to invest in it, and I wouldn't recommend investing amounts that you couldn't be okay if you lost. I've heard of people cashing in their 401ks and retirement accounts in order to invest, and mortgaging their house and stuff like that. Don't go crazy with this stuff, right? It should be an investment alongside of other investments. And it is uncorrelated with other investments, which makes it a good diversifier of an overall portfolio. But when the price goes down, buy a bit more. When the price goes up, sell some of it and rebalance and, make sure that you're well diversified at all times.
I got you. Thank you so much. I can sit and talk with you forever. Where are you guys located? Where's that?
Our corporate office is in Scottsdale, Arizona. We're on Arizona State University's Innovation Campus. And we have, most of our contributors are remote though. Around 60 to 70 paid contributors at this point between employees and contractors spread across the globe. And but we're growing our office location. We're up to quite a few employees there now. So.
Let me ask you this: as an entrepreneur on a journey, how did this idea come to you to create this?
I didn't create it. So our founder, his name is Evan Duffield, and he created the coin in 2014. I got involved in 2014 at that time, and increased my involvement over time. I was named CEO last year. So, but not my idea. But
I'm curious to know how.
Yeah, I mean, the idea was that there were flaws with the first generation of digital currencies, and we sought to address those. A lot of those are around governance, the way that they're funded, the way decisions are made on the network, and how it actually is set up from like a technical architect standpoint. And so we started addressing all of these issues to make the network run more efficiently, more effectively. And as we've seen with Bitcoin and Ethereum, when there's disagreements on those networks, the entire coin can split in half. And Dash is very cohesive because we have governance, we have decision making built in to the protocol or the set of rules that make up the software itself. And so we're able to stay very cohesive and really move forward with a strategy that everyone can get behind. And so that's really what makes us very different.
Gotcha. One more question.
Sure.
Can the government say, hey, people of the world, you cannot transact with this?
Of course they can. They can say whatever they want. How enforceable that is up for debate, because this is decentralized technology, meaning that there's no one person that they can go to and shut it down. They can knock on Facebook's door and say Facebook is shutting down, and Facebook would have to comply. In the case of Dash, it's open source software. Anyone's free to download it and run it on their home computers. And it's not just computers in the United States that are running it, it's run from every country in the world. And so how do you shut a network down like that? They don't even have jurisdiction over all of those locations to shut it down. And it runs over protocols where the only way that they could shut it down is by shutting off the internet. Well, that's not a very good option.
Yeah.
So
what about big fines, for instance? Hey,
now they can try to stop like the exchanges and make it much more difficult for you to transact with it and get it in and out of U.S. dollars, for example. But it would be very hard for them to shut it down in all countries simultaneously. And I think that what they're looking for is just compliance with the civic rules. I don't think they're actually looking to shut it down. There's too much benefit to this technology, and I think they're beginning to appreciate and learn that. And so no country wants to be shut out of this revolution that's happening in technology, and an entire industry that's springing up around financial services. And I don't think there's a lot of choice other than to figure out how best to deal with this new technology.
And what are other sectors, just some of the top sectors that we just heavily benefit from this today, like right now?
So if you're talking about blockchain, which is the technology that underlies digital currency is only one use case of that. The thing that makes a blockchain so valuable is that it's a database that's immutable. It means it can't be changed. It's a record that cannot be altered, and when you think about that, there's tremendous benefit in law. You could use this to record legal records like your will and be able to prove without any doubt that this record existed as of a certain date, because no one can alter that data. Another use case is recording supply chain transactions. You can prove without a doubt that this food that you're buying is organic, because you can trace it through the entire history of data through the blockchain, and you know that the stuff that was grown here couldn't have gone more than 2 places, right? There's a certain amount of grapes that were grown organically, and here's where they ended up, and you can't fake that. You can't claim that they went to 2 locations on that blockchain.
So the grape you're getting for sure came from here, and then straight here, so it traces everything.
Yep, and those records.
Diamonds, all kinds of supplies.
Yes, there's a lot of benefits in like supply chain and logistics. There's a ton of different. Anywhere where data being altered is a bad thing, which is pretty much everywhere, this technology has a lot of benefit.
That's unbelievable. I'm so honored. Thank you for this. I want to be respectful of your time. Thank you so much. I think he nailed it. If a grandma was watching this, I think they would get a lot of it clicked for me just now. So thank you. I have to hear it like 100 times.
One person at a time.
One person at a time. Yeah. Oh my God. Aloha. Thank you so much, boss. Best of luck. I'm gonna go get me some Dash. I want to continue to learn. Aloha, everybody. Love and light.